All right. This is going on YouTube, so I gotta look like presentable. So I'll start the video. Chro, start the video now. So big patch hit today. If anyone doesn't know, we're gonna go over it. But it was they called it damage scaling or rescaling, something like that. Basically, it kind of addresses a good chunk. Like when Blizzard talked about aggressive balancing, I expected this type of patch every 3 weeks, every month, something like that. So they're doing it. This is their second aggressive patch. Good job, Blizzard. So let's see what it does. First of all, beam damage type reduction against armor health pools increased from 20 to 30%. So beam damage does less to armor now, 10% less damage. Beams. Echo's beam technically counts, but there is no hero in the game that has armor at half health, except for the incredibly rare scenario of someone at half health but has Brig armor from her altar. It technically is a case. Winston's primary, May's primary, of course Zarya's primary. May, Winston, Zarya, Moira, her primary. I think I'm missing one more. Sim, of course. The beam lady herself. So that's all those heroes essentially do a little bit less damage to armor. Okay, cool. So the only thing I really grasp from this, it has nothing to do with Sim, even though it seems like it does a lot. I think it is specifically targeted at Zarya being so damn good against other tanks. And I think they just want to make Zarya a little less good against armor. I think that's the big thing I want. Or that's the big thing I really take away from this. Unless there's some interaction that I'm really thinking that doesn't come into play. Because May's primary doesn't matter. Moira's primary, who gives a fuck? Sim, it would hit. I guess it matters there a little bit, but Sim's not played that much, so I just don't see it that much. But Zarya is the big one that's getting played a significant amount, that has a significant amount of DPS. I think they're looking at Zarya and they're like, she just does way too much damage, because she's always at like 70 plus charge. If you ever see a good Zarya, once you get Zarya's at decent skill level after 4100 or so, doesn't matter what's on the other team, they're going to have charge. So that's all I can really think about for that. Again, if it lowers damage, I'm all for it. So Ana, ammo reduced from 14 to 12. Now we'll go to our dirty little secret. Where are we at? I want to enable yada yada yada. Overall, DPS heroes will have less reliable burst damage, while supports will get larger downtime windows to take advantage of. I even call out the Ana changes, and I'm just like, look, you've got to reduce her clip size, increase her reload amount, because it's absolutely ridiculous. Let's put our little secret over there. And this is really what I think the direction of balance Overwatch has to, like, it must go in to check all of these check all of these boxes. Also, your world on fire. Yeah, if you look at that blog post, I hit ammo counts constantly. DPS, and I did a tweet like a week ago or 2 weeks ago before work got absolute dog shit. Like I think I've put in a couple 70-hour weeks. It's been shit. I posted out a tweet. I'm like, I think I'm on the verge of understanding the crux of Overwatch and what we can do to deal with it. Part of that crux is this: how many heroes on a team heal? 2. How many heroes on a team deal damage? 6. So, healers. will always have to be burst healing. They have to. They have to deal with, even if you're not even talking about crit damage, if you're just talking about 6, even like 4 heroes shooting 1 hero, to have any semblance of a chance to heal past that and make a difference in the game, which we need to do, that is one trigger, we have to make a difference as a support. If you don't, then there's no fucking point in playing. Then you have to allow them to heal a lot. What we need to do is increase the windows of their downtime. The ammo count and reload count is what I target in my blog post, but this is exactly targeting towards it. This is the step in the direction I really wanted to go in, which is you reduce clip size, because if we make Ana reload more, then all of a sudden, if she misses her shots, they fucking matter. If she goes to DPS, she has to be more conscious of when and when not to DPS instead of heal. Which people are like, oh, but shouldn't you just be able to do everything? No. Like, it should be a choice, and it should be like, it should require some thought and some thought process behind it to make something come to that decision to, be like, should I attack? Should I not attack? Right? And basically 10 is what she started with when she was first introduced to Overwatch. If you bring it back there, like, people, if the game stayed as it was now, she would never be able to DPS because you constantly have to be healing with 10 shots. In my model, I reduced the dependency on DPS and supports, so you would actually have more opportunities to deal damage. But that's neither the case. They kind of split the fences, and they're like, we're just going to lower ammo count a little bit. She's going to have to reload a little bit more. That means more windows of opportunity for the offense to take advantage of. Cool. Ashe. Max ammo reduced. She got this. I forget when the buff was. She got 2 specific buffs to her gun clip size. Or basically, one was clip size and one was reload speed. They made her reload a lot faster, but then they also increased her. I think this is a full revert of that. I'm not exactly sure, though. Again, more downtime. Sweet. Great. More times to take advantage of her. Ashe does get hit a little bit harder by reloading because she has to reload every single bullet. Yeah. It's reducing ammo for Ashe really matter much. She reloads 1 bullet at one time. Yeah, it does matter because if you dive her and she just has to fucking. So essentially, as you go to dive Ashe, essentially the max ammo on Ashe makes her a little bit weaker against dive. Now she's shooting shields before the fight really starts, and then and then they dive on her. Maybe they should not shooting shields, but she's putting out some damage beforehand. Then the dive happens. All right, now she's at 8 or 7 shots instead of 12. In that case, she only has 7 shots to deal with close range stuff, and then she has to reload, and then she's in really hot shit. Right? As soon as she has to shoot, reload to stay alive, she's probably going to die. So you just give basically constant pressure on Ashe. This is what it's targeting. And as we've been noticing in Overwatch League, we're seeing a bit of dive run, Winston Zarya, and usually the counter comp is Ashe Sombra. This, I would say, is probably targeted at Overwatch League and making Ashe a little bit. It's such a very special case, but it can have a significant impact. So, but it's just a little bit, but it's in the right direction. I like it. Secondary fire, damage reduced by 5. $250 hit point heroes now take an extra shot. With damage boost, she still does 208 damage with Mercy. Instead of... What would that be? Let's say it's 106 damage, so instead of 212 damage, it's down to 208. It seems like it doesn't matter that much, and really overall, it doesn't matter. Oh, your World on Fire says it's 221 to 208? No. Maybe it is that. Okay. So yeah, so if it actually takes off, if you're correct, and it takes off, what is that, 13 damage? That's pretty big. The big thing out of it is it doesn't matter with her primary attack. or within fall off range of her primary attack. What I'm really thinking about is when fall off damage starts happening. Since it's 208 damage, as soon as she gets out of her fall off range, if you're 2 or 3 meters past her fall off range starting, I don't think a 200 hit point hero will die with a mercy boost. So it probably adds maybe 5 meters to someone's life when in regards to her fall off damage. If you're right next to her, won't make too much of a difference. It's a small change. I like its direction, just because, again, if there's anything about reducing damage, I'm on board. Baptiste. Bam. I actually call out Baptiste very specifically in my post. Let's just have a read, shall we? I think Baptiste is in a solid position currently and only needs changes to line up with the global changes, and this is what I'm talking about. His regen burst is bland and seems like an ability purely to allow him to self-heal, which this has now turned into. But it does give him some burst healing, which he needs. Again, we kind of discussed supports needing some type of burst healing. A lot of complaints for Baptiste are about his immortality field, but yeah, it's fine. Yada, yada, yada. Again, clip size. Man, that looks familiar. And I actually I kind of do a back ass. Me and Blizzard, we just keep doing things back asswards. So they doubled his healing towards himself and halved it versus everyone else, and I did the opposite. I want Baptiste to be more vulnerable. I don't want him to be able to self-heal as much. So, kind of on point, Blizzard. Yeah, this is exactly kind of what I want. So secondary fire, again, bigger windows of opportunity. Perfect, that's all I want. Regenerative burst. This reduces his AoE healing, which will drastically reduce his alt gain. It also just addresses AoE healing in general, which has been a constant complaint from a lot of the people just everywhere. And I think there is a point to it. With less, and this is theory crafting range, with less AoE healing, the more you divide your damage up against the enemy team, the better, right? If we make supports generally good at healing a single target really well, but then if they have to start swapping targets, it makes it a little bit weaker. But AoE healing completely negated that. If you had regen burst, you had Lucio, you have Brig, Ananade. There's a lot of AoE healing in the game. This AoE healing kind of just removes any flank fighting, any little skirmishes, where they can just kind of kill everyone at once. It kind of sucks. And this is really targeting that. I think it's a good direction to go to. AoE healing is good from a archetype standpoint, meaning AoE healing is good for people that just don't want to fucking heal. Right? Support should be for everyone, including people that don't want to play supports. That's why Zen exists. That's why kind of Brig exists. There needs to be multiple archetypes in every role to, kind of help people. So then we go to the Junkrat nerf. Junkrat goes down 10 damage, so this is pre-buffed. The cases that this matters. 1. 250 hit point heroes. Doomfist, Mei, Reaper. The combo has been taken away. For Mei and Reaper, cool. I haven't seen them in a while. Whatever, I guess I'll deal with it, and I think I'll deal fine. Doomfist is now a little bit sketch, because if you did catch him with a combo, he died. Most of the time, you catch Doomfist after he hits a slam, in which case the combo doesn't kill him. In my mind, not the biggest deal in those 3 scenarios. The 4th scenario is... let's go with a really specific one. Bastion, when in turret form, takes 3 shots currently. With this change, he takes 4. Okay, that sucks, but sure. I'll learn to deal with 1 extra shot on the Bastion. It was just kind of nice. No, Torb. So Torb doesn't matter because he has armor, meaning the combo didn't kill him beforehand. He survived with 5 health. Technically, Brig back in the day, if I say back in the day, like 2 weeks ago, wouldn't survive or would survive because she had armor and she would survive with 5 health. So actually, Brig is now a target even with this nerf. Torb has never been a target technically, but in most cases he may have some chip damage and you'd kill him. But in that case, if there's any chip damage, anyone's going to die because you leave him untended. The last case, and this is the only one that really matters for me, is when concussive mine is really badly coded. I've knocked a concussive mine off someone's head and detonated it, and it's done like 30 damage. It can have a wide degree of variance, and it really sucks. So that was a direct hit, meant your concussive mine could be 10 more damage away from someone, and you would still get the hit. That is my biggest concern, and it's a minor concern. It's not that bad, but it's just a minor concern. So maybe some combos, like when they're a little bit farther away, you won't get that kill before you did. Okay, that's fine. Again, and I know a lot of people are like, well, what about Jugger, blah, 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 and I'm like, get the fuck up. If this is what it takes for Overwatch to be better, I have no problem with it. I will say, and a lot of people have alluded to this, when Junkrat first got this buff, which is an 8% damage buff, and now it's like it's probably something like a 8.5% damage nerf or whatever that is. He got a 10% nerf to his ultimate, and I would just question, can we get that back? Can we charge your ult 10% faster, please? Because out of all the damage buffs in the game, only Junkrat's has been nerfed with his ult charge as well. Machine Gun McCree is now back. It's a full revert to what it was. Yes, thank God. McCree's may have to actually aim now instead of just shooting and rolling and shooting some more. Bionic Grasp with Moira. Linger heal reduced from 4 to 2, so total healing down from 65 to 35. That's just a straight nerf. Like, that's a flat out nerf. That's pretty big for the after heal. I think it's a good change though. Again, we're kind of targeting AoE passive healing. It's kind of like that. We want supports to be actively healing more and doing passive healing less. I think that'd be the right way to take the game. So healing per second increased from 65 to 70. That's fine. A lot of people are pissed at this, but understand this. Moira has no long-range options, healing or otherwise. Yes, she can send Healing Orb over, but that's the best she can do. At long range, she can't do anything. She's meant to be in a tight cone with her team, and that's basically it. The nice part is healing resource consumption rate is increased by 27%. So she's going to get less healing with her meter full, but her damage attack angle is reduced by 37%, but healing resource gain increased by 50%. And this is kind of how I would... this is actually what I would want to do for Zarya as well. Basically, I think Zarya... When there was a whole bunch of changes in Overwatch, a lot of things became quicker. Junkrat's shot became quicker, and it detonated faster. And that was like a front-loaded of his damage. We're like, alright, don't worry about the ricochets and the splash damages. Fuck it, make it worse after and better before. This was with Reaper as well, right? He used to kill people and get health drops. It's too slow to happen after combat. Torb armor, after someone died. Again, it's too slow to happen after. There's a lot of things like this. I think Bastion got faster into form and then slower after, if I remember correctly. I may be backwards in that one. But all of Overwatch has been this like, alright, Overwatch is happening way too fast. People need tools to use now. All of this snowbally shit can't exist. So Moira and Zarya I see in the same way. I think Moira needs her charge to drop a lot faster, but she builds it easier. Same thing with Moira. I want her to use her resource up faster and then gain it back faster. So it's constant give and take, this constant hurt and heal, which is kind of her theme, right? It's, you know, oh, she hurts and she heals by hurting, and she hurts by healing, like all that shit. So by making her switch more often, it just makes the hero feel better. She's actively doing more. And making someone do more means there's more chance to show your skill. So people that are better managing their healing will now be shown. People that are shit at healing, it's going to become real apparent when they start running out of healing juice right away. Overall, I like this direction of Moira. It's good. Orisa. This is so funny. This is so funny, guys. So, they made the change. And watch this. I do a lot of changes to Orisa, but the one change I want to focus on for Halt, we gradually reduce the AoE, but allow players more time to react, so Halt becomes more of area denial instead of a consistent chaining of abilities. And what I did is Halt radius 7 to 5. Oh shit! There we go. Halt radius from 7 to 5. The slow is removed, and activation delay I've increased it. But basically, by slowing it down and making it a bigger AoE, it's becoming less of a chain, like, oh, just use this and chain everyone and they still die. Because the problem is if you make an ability like fast and basically easy to hit, even though it's a smaller AoE, players are going to get better where they can start nailing this constantly, and then you're not going to be able to do shit. At 30 speed, it's going to be hard to dodge, and they're going to be able to lock down a specific person and then kill them. And I think they want to make it a little bit weaker on the consistency and pull it more towards area denial, which is what this change over here does. So the radius has been increased, but it's a little bit slower. So now it's going to be less like, I see that guy, I'm going to halt him, and everyone kill him. And now it's like, alright guys, it's going to get there, I may get someone, I may not. But they're going to move away from the area, it gives us a chance to push forward. So now it's like, oh, now it's kind of be working as a tank ability, where it buys space. So I like this change a lot. 5 meters, I mean, it's big, but I like this direction. I would rather have them do what I did, and like remove the slow, remove all that shit, and just be like, all right, it pulls them in once, that's it. Bam. That's good for an ability, because this is almost like an ultimate. Farah gets her her recovery increase, so she is now like, what is that? 14% slower. This is what it was originally. I don't think OG originally, but a last buff. So this is a revert. Yeah, it's the same speed as mine, yes. Concussive mine and your primary fire are 25 speed. Slowest projectiles in the game. Sim, full revert from 140 to 120. Like, it's a big reduction. It's actually like, normally I wouldn't care too much about this, but it's such a big reduction that it will matter just with other combos in your team. I don't even care about like synergy with her own abilities. I'm just talking about with teams. If she can hit someone with a single orb, 60 damage is real easy to do in Overwatch. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty big change, but Sim's always been in this rough spot. It's kind of funny. Farah's not good at all. It stops 50% boost from one-shotting 200 hit point heroes. Good call. That's actually a big point. With 50% damage, they cannot one-shot characters now. But you can still do that with McCree and everyone else. But I get it. Everyone hates Symmetra and Farah and Junkrat. Projectile games or heroes are getting shit on, kinda. This Farah nerf, I get that they want to reset it because it was part of like the goats change to deal with goats. But she's just not played. She's probably one of the weaker DPS heroes, and she's not weak. She's just weaker. She's a less of a good choice compared to the other DPS heroes. I want to make a very clear note that I greatly differentiate between a weak hero and the weakest DPS. The weakest DPS, you could still get the top 500 by one-tricking them. So, it's just weird. It feels like a lot of this is against spam damage, or just spam in general. We go back to Widowmaker now. We're down to Widowmaker. Max ammo increased from 30 to 35. Scoped ammo cost increased from 3 to 5. So she goes from 10 shots a clip to 7. I don't know why they gave her the extra ammo. I don't. 6 shots would have been good for Widow. Personally, if you ask me, like, if I really wanted to do something to her, I'd make her scope shots take 10. She should get 3 shots, reload, 3 more shots, because she's that strong. Scope shots now have 50% damage fall off from 60 to 85 meters. This is such a long range that it almost doesn't matter in every single scenario in Overwatch. There are very, very special. What happens at 86 meters? At 85 meters, she does 50% damage. So if she hits you with a full charge scope shot, she'd do 120. It would go to 300 because it's 2.5, and then it get reduced by no. How is the damage calculation? I think the fall off hits first, and then it gets doubled. I believe that's the correct way to look at it. So she would do 120. She would hit you for 60, which would get 2.5 to what is that, like 150? I guess math works that way where it didn't fucking matter. Fuck. Who knew math worked like that? Yeah. Maths. It's all multiplicative, yeah, so it doesn't really matter. So order of operations, not a big deal. So that's what happens with Widow. The problem, well, everyone knows what the problem is this doesn't matter. This does not address anything. Widowmaker needs she needs a nerf. Like a hard nerf. Like 3 to 5 second reload, 3 shots per clip. Damage down to 100. Removal of the 2.5 bonus damage. Just make it 2. Fall off damage, this needs to start like at 50 meters and go to like 85. Like, she needs something massive. 50 to 75 would be more impactful. I think it needs to go to like 40 to 80. Like, just make it a really wide range so that she just loses a lot of her lethality against 200 hit point heroes really quick. She's the entire point of Widow. Well, not the entire point of Widow. Widow's entire existence is hinged on the only thing you can do against a good Widow is have a better Widow. If you do not have a better Widow, then you have to change your entire team composition and hope you can play twice as good as the other team. Widow's hard to use, though. Not in Overwatch. If you ever sniped in any other game, it's difficult. In Overwatch, it's a lot easier. Hitboxes, even for hit scan, are very, very generous. And yeah, you have to balance for the top. You don't balance for Overwatch League. You balance for 4200 skill level, essentially, roughly speaking. If you ever balance a game, you want to balance it for like the top 90 to 95%, just so you can give some wiggle room and you can make pros like being immensely good is on a hero. You can see a difference between you and like the other top tier guys, but not to the point where it's like, oh, I win the game. I have hit this mark in my life, and therefore, because of my skill, I win every game. You are not allowed to play the game that I am good at, because my hero deems that I win. It's a bit bullshit. Widowmaker has no real good weakness, and I kind of call it out. It's where do I call it out here? I forget where I call it out, something like this. Ah, here it is. And okay, I want to talk about a second minor reason for a question I'd love to ask Jeff or Geoff. In regard to balance, do you believe that a game must constantly change because of player growth? How can a character be balanced if skill can take them out of scope for what we designed them for? As developers, we should be able to see the abuse of something when done skillfully. If we don't, then the idea of a counter-based game goes out the window, because certain heroes can grow past their counters. This is great if it happens to every hero, but if it doesn't, then those without a weakness due to skill will always be played and dominate the meta, or a dominant meta will form. That's why you have to be able to nerf Widow. If Widow is the only hero that can deal with her counters, quote-unquote counters, and still play the game fine, then good players will just get good with her, and then you'll be fucked, because you have to deal with that. Because you didn't design in a weakness for her, you allowed her to grow outside of it, which no other hero can do, and this is kind of why we're with Double Shield. Widow has to be hit harder. In fact, all hitscan needs to be hit harder. And that's the entire gist of my blog post. Zarya, Particle Cannon, 20 to 25. Good. She didn't need that. That was like one of those weird-ass buffs. Like when Hanzo got 10 extra damage on Storm Arrow, where they're just like, buff it. Why not? This all seems to target spam damage. A lot of this seems to be targeting spam damage. Zarya, clearly against it. Widowmaker, I guess with ammo cost going up, you could say, it's subtly going towards that way, but I would want it twice this amount. Symmetra, spam damage gone down. Pharah, less attacks. Orisa, keep doing what you're doing, girl. Moira, again, you have to be more precise, both with her attack damage and with her healing, because you're going to lose the resource more. So if you don't properly manage your resources, you're going to not have it. McCree, fire rate reduction. Junkrat, damage reduction. So, clip reduction and AoE healing reduction. Damage reduction. I mean, it's funny. We talk about AoE damage and all this other stuff, and then they didn't touch Ash's Dynamite. Go figure. But it does, with the max ammo reduction, it kind of does just stop them from just constantly shooting and basically not even having. The thing is with 15 shots, I don't even think people reload with Ash. I think the fight's already done by the time she starts reloading. I would like her to go down to like 8 shots. And then Ana, yeah, just more. As long as the game makes people think about the shots they're taking. So if ammo count is not a deal in Overwatch, right? Unlimited ammo, everyone has it. The first thing you're worried about, and this is like a core thing with Overwatch, if the game was designed without ammo, so everyone can constantly shoot and be doing something all the time, the strongest thing after that is like basically reload speed, and in conjunction with that, clip size, because that's what's creating the downtime windows. And then it just left my head. I guess attack rate would be the other one. I don't know if that's what I had in my head. Man, I just lost that idea. But again, the amount supports need to be able to heal a lot, and then DPS, that's what needs to be toned back. DPS needs there needs to be some mechanic in the game that forces people to be accurate and make their shit count. And it shouldn't just be, well, the other guy's going to be more accurate than you. And I get that. Oh, if the other guy's more accurate than you, and you have 2 shots, and he hits his 2, then I only hit 1, then I die. It needs to be not that extreme, but you kind of get the point that I'm alluding to. There needs to be something more than just fear of the other guy hitting more shots than that. Overall, it's an amazing step for Blizzard to take, because I don't think anyone would have ever thought this Widow nerf would have come in. And them saying, look, we're looking at this is on our mind, is it's great. It's not like amazing in the fact that like Blizzard thought of it. Like anyone should have thought of this shit. But Blizzard, it was one of those things that there was really taboo and they didn't want to touch. Same thing with nerfing hit scan in general. They only buffed hit scan. Also, Tracer needs to be give her back the worst fall off range. I don't know why it's 13 anymore. Take it back to 10. Yeah. This is a phenomenal way to take the direction of Overwatch. And I've said this like 4 times in a row now, every single patch. This is kind of pointing towards Overwatch 2, and maybe there's some bigger thing that's going to happen later on the road that this will start making sense. But this is a phenomenal patch. Again, it's experimental. We don't know if everything's going to go through as it is, but it's a damn good place to start. My blog post, I write blogs for 2 reasons. One, selfishly, because I forget shit, and if anyone asks me a question, I want to be like, oh yeah, I wrote that down. I already have my thoughts. Read it. I don't want to talk about it anymore because I wrote it down and I can forget that now. Fuck you. That's why I write. And secondly, I like writing and doing blog posts, so I can be like, fucking told you so. Mer 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 mer. I called it. Me. That's the other reason why I do that. So when everyone's like, Chro, you're dumb, you don't know what you're talking about, and like for like 4 or 5 patches in a row, I'm just like, called it. Yeah. Those are the 2 reasons why I blog. I think all hit scan needs to be reined in. Again, my blog post, check it out if you really want to. Because you're childish and forgetful. Nice reasons. Yeah, for sure. I also do it just because, people want to ask me ideas. I'm like, oh, here, go look at this idea. I have it, on paper, so I can actually keep that answer standard and all that. Yeah, I think this is a really good patch. I think this patch, and I believe this is kind of like the extent that I believe Blizzard will do with a single patch, because Overwatch is a little bit complex of a game in regards to balance. And while in Dota, they're just smart, and I love Dota and its balance and all that. I've been following it pre-Ice Frog, like pre-Pendragon. I think Yule was the guy that did it way back then. Their sense of balancing is amazing, and they'll touch every hero, and it'll pretty much work out. But I think Blizzard is a little bit, we're just gonna, this is the max amount of heroes, let's see what settles, and then we can do it after that. So people are like questioning, like, why didn't Torb get nerfed? Because he's fucking Torb. He doesn't need to get nerfed, man. The guy's been shit on so much. His crit box is like the size of Ana. It's ridiculous. And why didn't Hanzo get nerfed? Weird thing, Hanzo, long range, better than Widow now, after 85 meters. Hanzo can one-shot Widow, Widow can't one-shot him. It's a really weird thing, but I kind of like the direction it's going in. But again, at 85 meters, who gives a fuck? Like, you quite literally have to be standing on purpose so far away, it just won't ever come up. But yeah, I think this is the max amount of things that Blizzard will try at once. I'm hoping for more hit scan nerfs. That's what has to get nerfed. If hit scan gets nerfed, this game is going to be phenomenal. For one reason alone, movement will matter. Dynamic movement. You'll have people flanking, you'll have people moving. People can walk in the open and not die. As soon as people can move, the entire game opens up, both literally and figuratively. Like, it needs to happen. As soon as you punish anyone from walking away from a shield with insta-death, how the fuck can you even play that game? How does that game even work? Why do you even have open space on maps? You know what I'm saying? Like, all this starts getting questioned. Like, why is Junkertown so huge? Like, no one uses half that speed. Or half that space. It's not possible to use, because if you're in that open space, you're dead, unless you're the sniper. So it's alright, snipers have free reign in the map, which is strange. That's a weird thing. Be like, oh yeah, who uses the most of the map? Snipers. And then everyone else has to deal with that shit. Yeah, I just... all hit scan needs to be reeled in. And yeah, people are saying, yeah, don't nerf Soldier. No, nerf Soldier, and then let's deal with them after the pre-nerf, or post-nerf. I'm just saying, smack everyone once. Everyone deserves to get smacked. In Overwatch. And you out there, internet. Just smack everyone. Smack every DPS. Smack all the hit scan. Even Bastion? Yeah, fuck Bastion. Smack him. He's a robot. It's not like he has feelings. And then deal with it after that. Because what's going to happen is if you don't smack Bastion or Soldier, when you nerf everyone except for Bastion and Soldier, they're going to go, everyone's going to play Bastion and Soldier, and then everyone's going to go back, these heroes are overpowered, I told you, and then we're going to get 2 weeks of that, and they're going to get the worst nerfing you've ever seen, and they'll be dead for the rest of the game. Just hit them a little bit. So people aren't like, okay, we won't play Bastion. Torb doesn't need her, also Chro. Smack everyone. Well, not projectile. Projectiles are already... Look, the only time you see Junkrat and Sim and Pharah are like on very specific maps, and other than that, they're not played ever. As long as there isn't a choke point that they're forced to go through, they're pretty much useless. Yeah, projectiles have been in a really bad spot for all of Overwatch. So that's my thought. Those are my thoughts. Anyone has any complaints, criticism, and whatnot?